This is Bob Rock in the 80s, and this is the first Metallica album he produced, a record that marked a before and after for the band. From that point on, whenever Metallica hit the studio, he was the one behind the controls. Until then, they decided to work with Rick Rubin, famous for producing these albums, among other famous and infamous records. But how does Lars Ulrich evaluate and compare these two producers?
Working with Rick and getting Rick Rubin involved was, we wanted to just try and do something different and try to have a different guy in there for the process. Rick Rubin is not a musician and he's not a songwriter and he's not a technical guy. Rick Rubin is a guy and he listens to music and he goes, that's good, that's not good. Where Bob Rock, he'll sit with a guitar and go, why don't you try this chord instead of that chord or something? Play the riff in F sharp instead of an E. Rick Rubin, I can play less guitar than me and I can't play guitar. Rick will sit there and go, play all the songs in E instead of E flat because James's vocal sound, when he sings higher, he sounds more vulnerable. That's what Rick Rubin says. Bob Rock says more like, play the chorus twice at the end or play it in a different key or something. So he's very much more from a musician's point of view where Rick is more about feel.
Rick Rubin's approach to music production, as he describes it, is very simple. I like it, let's go this way. I don't like it, I don't think we should go that way. He illustrates it with food. When you taste something, you immediately know whether you like it or not. According to him, that's his method for making decisions during a production.
Everything to Rick is about how it feels. He closes his eyes. He has his little prayer beats and he kind of sits there and he listens to it and he talks about how it feels. It's very, very different. Rick Rubin is very difficult to figure out.
Although Lars mentions that Rick is not a very technical person, he does say that he had a very clear vision.
Rick wanted it just to be very kind of in your face, very kind of underproduced. He's not a big, there's not a lot of harmony vocals and there's not a lot of kind of pretty sound effects and all this crap. I let Rick and Greg Fiddleman, his kind of guy, his engineer, I let them deal with most of it. They wanted the record to sound very organic and they don't use samples, they don't use echoes and reverbs, they don't use gates. It's very much, it's how it sounds, it's very organic. That's Rick Rubin's favorite words, organic.
From Death Magnetic, Metallica kept Greg Fiddleman, the sound engineer from those sessions, and since then, he has continued working with Metallica as a producer on their subsequent recordings. But we can say that thanks to Bob Rock and the Black Album, Metallica embarked on one of the most epic tours of the 20th century, taking them all over the world, including the Soviet Union, right at the moment it was collapsing. That show became one of the most dangerous concerts in history. If you want to see incredible details about that concert, check it out next.
We played in front of 500,000 people.
When it was still the Soviet Union. This is still when Soviet Union was, quote, Ronald Reagan, the evil empire. Soviet missile threat.